On this week's episode of the Third Wheel Podcast, me and Shaps talk about why Hollywood will not make anything original and why it's all your fault. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good time with us.
Welcome back to the Third Wheel Podcast, where you are the third wheel in our conversation. I'm your host, Shaps, joined by co-host
Caleb. Guys, I'm excited for today because I will finally, for once in this entire show's history, not be taking the lead on the conversation here.
Yeah,
In
okay.
fact, I've decided to lighten the... Sir, can you please let me finish?
Sure, take the lead.
Do you see how he treats me? For today, Shaps will be leading the discussion on something very near and dear to his heart. And I'm excited because he's been bugging me about this for quite a while. And I finally said yes after all the constant begging, you know.
So when I have an idea, it's begging and bothering and, okay, pestering.
Yes. On the record, yes.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. All right, Shaps, I want you to lead away this time. You got this.
Sure. Well, thanks, bro. I mean,
no problem.
I was just very... we saw a movie recently.
We did?
We did.
What was it?
It was called The Creator.
Oh, yeah. I'm just kidding. I'm trying to make it sound natural.
And this was a movie that Caleb was like, I'm going to hate it. I'm going to hate it. I'm going to hate it. And I was like, no, it looks really good. He's like, no, whatever. This is going to be bomb, you know? And we actually went to see it. And for those who don't know, Creator is a new sci-fi that's completely original. It's made by the same guy who directed Rogue One and not the first Godzilla movie, but that, I don't even know what they call it, but that one Godzilla movie where it's like Cloverfield. Where Godzilla is like not the focus, but like in the background of the whole movie.
Yeah. So let me speak to that. It's Gareth Edwards, I believe.
Yeah, Gareth Edwards.
Yeah, Gareth Edwards. Good director. He directed a movie called Monster, or maybe it's just called Monsters. I forget. Sorry. But he directed that movie, and it's fantastic. And it's the same thing where monsters are in it, but they're like not in it, and that's not the sole focus. It's not a horror movie. It's not a run from the monsters type of film. He's very good at writing characters that are just in a world that they're just trying to navigate through. This is how the world is. It sucks, and they're just trying to get through it. There was an opportunity, and then a separate discussion. Okay, but he went on to direct Rogue One. He didn't direct the sequel, Monsters: Dark Continent, which was, I heard, really bad. He directed... No, I take it back. I'm sorry. He directed Godzilla next. Yes, the 2014 reboot by Legendary. Not by Toho, not by the Japanese, the American version.
Yeah.
And it was very good. I watched it a long time ago when it came out. Blew me away. I'm a massive Godzilla fan. It was fantastic. And you hadn't seen it until pretty recently, right?
Right. No, and I really liked it too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I kind of turned him into a Godzilla fan.
Yeah.
And I've been a Godzilla fan for God knows how long, since I was a kid. Had a whole bunch of them on VHS. Do you have a favorite, side note, do you have a favorite Godzilla villain that he fought?
Oh, sure. I like that. Was it Radon the bird?
Oh, yeah.
I love Radon.
Yeah, pretty
I mean,
cool.
like, okay, I don't like the old design. I like the new, like, Firebird design where he's like a phoenix, basically.
Right.
Yeah, I love Radon.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
If it wasn't Radon, then... I mean, I'm a bit of a Mothra fan, I guess.
You like Mothra?
I like Mothra.
Oh.
Just because, like...
I hate Mothra.
Because, like, he's kind of like a... You know, like a throwaway villain, but then, like, he's typically the first one to Godzilla's defense whenever they want to team up with someone.
I was going to say, he's never really a villain. I'm sure, now, out of all 80 films or whatever, like, I'm sure there's one where Mothra was, like, under mind control. Like,
Right.
I could see that. But Mothra's a good guy. Mothra's, like,
sure.
the heart, or I guess she's a good guy, right?
Yeah, she's cool. Like, I like that idea.
Yeah.
King Ghidorah, oh my gosh, just...
I wish okay, I'm really, really showing how deep of a nerd I am here.
Yeah.
I really wish they put Anguirus in a film. And that's his weird...
What is that?
Oh, what kind of animal is that? It's not a dinosaur. It's like a turtle dinosaur / armadillo with a very spiky tail, and he just crawls on all fours, and he makes a weird noise, right? And it's very distinct. You can't miss it. And all the Godzilla video games, he's like the weakest character because again, he's on all fours like basically a cat.
Yeah.
And So in all the Godzilla games, each character has like they can shoot out the atomic breath like Godzilla, or they have a laser they shoot out. Anguirus doesn't have any of that, so it's a very short range. Like his yell when he goes, like it's just like you just see his breath come out, and it's just like literally his breath, like air, and it's really short range because it's just his shout.
Does a little cat meow.
Yeah, it's just like a shout. Right?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was there a recent Godzilla where there was Mechagodzilla? Like a really recent one.
Yes, that was that. Okay, that was Godzilla versus Kong.
I thought it was crazy. I was like, was there? Because I'm like, I would like to see him in a movie, but apparently he wasn't one. I was like, I just don't remember it that much.
Right, I understand because it was very much a throwaway film.
Yeah.
Again, we talked a long time ago about everyone ripping off cinematic universes, which leads into later. That's a trope that I cannot stand.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but. Yes, they were trying to copy Avengers with Godzilla. Okay. Yes, but no. But anyway, so Anguirus is saying is he'll get into a ball like an armadillo, like into a shell, and then he'll roll around and smash into stuff. So I would love to see that in a modern film, but alas.
Probably like for a couple clips.
Yeah.
Just to, make the fans happy.
All right, just me, just the one fan. Yeah.
What's your favorite Godzilla variant? And that could be like different movie Godzilla or different like type of Godzilla.
That's tough. Okay, because there's villains where there's Space Godzilla, Mecha Godzilla, regular Godzilla.
Yeah.
Then there's like every different decade, I guess, has a different Godzilla that they kind of rebooted. I might have to go with Shin Godzilla, dude. That I sent you the trailer for Shin Godzilla. Yeah. So cool.
Though I was pretty much hooked on the most recent Godzilla, but like Shin Godzilla does.
It's so really good, cool. Bro. We need to watch that because the idea with that Godzilla is he starts off in like a larva form, and he's already smashing through the town like fresh out of like say the womb. And every time the humans attack him, he has to evolve to beat the humans. And every time they hit him with different firepower, he has to adjust. And it's so freaking good because each design is like legit different. And the teeth design on his mouth, like his teeth are all jagged and going everywhere. And I was like, bro,
that's the Japanese.
It is freaky.
That's awesome.
And I've never used the word freaky to describe Godzilla, but anyway.
Well, speaking of leading conversation,
yeah. So I apologize.
Fine.
Next though, so he did Godzilla.
Yeah.
Rogue One,
which is one of my favorite movies, favorite Star Wars movies.
I'm on the record of saying I hate that movie, but. Not his fault, but it has the same idea where it's cool, interesting characters.
The cool parts of Rogue One are like his design. Like
right.
He definitely saved that movie.
I disagree. But,
no. Well, okay. The reason I say it is because Disney fired the two directors who were working on it, and then he came in, and it was acceptable to them. And I'm like, and the scenes that he added. They looked up. I was like, actually, yeah. That
you're thinking of Solo.
No, it was a Rogue One as well. I had to go to the reshoots. Maybe it wasn't the two directors, but it was a director who was fired.
There were two directors for that. It was Gareth Edwards, and then they came in and kind of replaced him to do reshoots.
Yeah, but he added the Darth Vader scene at the end.
Sure. But Solo had two directors that they fired and replaced with Ron Howard.
Yeah, I'm saying it was basically the same story.
Right. So, anyway. Because those two directors are the ones that made Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
So, Rogue One, set that aside now. Okay, he's back. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it's been a while. A long
time.
Like an almost entire Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
All the shows and everything. And this is the creator. It's a totally original story by him. He wrote it. He directed it. What I was so interested in by this movie is the fact that legitimately it wasn't based off a book. It wasn't based off a movie or a TV show. It wasn't a reboot. It wasn't a sequel. It wasn't anything. It was just him.
Can I ask you why that's so important to you?
That's very important. Yeah. That's very important to me because it kind of reminds me of the reason I love filmmaking in general is just I love seeing ideas come alive, whether or not it's like great or bad, I just love seeing big ideas and big worlds, big creations, come into realization without a whole bunch of corporate suits getting in the way and saying you need to do this and that and that, and then tie this movie into this one. And it just gets so kerfuffled, and to the point where it's like unrecognizable. And the reason I started loving it is because of George Lucas when he created Star Wars, when he made it his baby, more so with the prequels, I would say, where he literally, as much as those films technically aren't great, he made it his own. Love it or hate it, it was 100% his own, and he made a crazy world that's still one of the biggest franchises to this day, but it was all him. Like, it was all from his mind. No one told him what to do. Essentially, he had, people probably gave him ideas, but like, it was generally just like from his mind, and that inspired me, to be a creative, just like to do my own thing, and not just to do what people want, essentially show people something that they didn't know they wanted.
Yeah. So you brought up George Lucas. Like, if you think about Star Wars, I want to say that kicked off basically, essentially, like sci-fi, revolutionized. Now, don't get me wrong. There were definitely sci-fi stuff way before that.
And it did borrow a lot, which we'll get into that later, but Star Wars actually borrowed so much from other movies and other films.
And it did. It just took it and made it, like, cool.
Yeah.
Because, like, you hear George Lucas say, like, when that came out, like, there was nothing like it before. And it's
no one wanted to touch it. No one wanted to touch it.
It's true. It's like, not like there was nothing like it before.
So, it was a kind of low budget for what it was, even though like it was had a little bit more generous of a budget, but like it still was pretty low budget for what you see. Very similar to this movie. Now there are some glaring differences, but we'll get into that. Essentially, real quick review. I'm not going to make this a review.
No,
but
and I'd like to, before we even get to that, I think, if you don't mind, we should talk about why those are important original films. Since we already are on the topic of original films and why you like them, we should talk about why they're important.
I think I'll get into that first.
Okay.
I'll get into that. Let me just go quick review. I think it was a solid 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. Yep. Definitely, I enjoyed it a lot. I love the world. He is a great world builder, just like Lucas.
Yeah.
And the animation, everyone's talking about the animation, looked great. It had a budget of about $80 million, somewhere between $80 and $90 million. And it looked
that's important, guys. Pay attention to the numbers here.
And it looked like a $150 million film. Like, which is crazy because most Marvel movies have, like twice, 3 times that.
They look like garbage.
And they look like complete trash.
Yes.
So that's why, that's another thing to keep in mind. The main criticism this movie gets is that it has a little few too many familiarities with other movies, otherwise known as like tropes or overused tropes. But again, we'll get into that. So that was my quick review. Reason why...
Can I give my quick review?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm with Shaps. I would go with 7, maybe mid 7. Okay. I'd have to sit down and really do a review to type out give you a full number, but I'd just go with 7.5 as well. I don't ever just give movie props just for the visuals, because I think visuals should never take the place of proper storytelling, proper characters. I think that's what makes a film. Visual effects are great, but at the heart of, say, a movie like Star Wars, you got characters that you relate to, characters that you want to be like, really fleshed out, really deep characters, on top of very good storytelling. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a both. And then on top of that, the visual effects for the time were groundbreaking.
Yeah.
So it propped it up. Visually, again, like you said, the budget was $80 million. In today's market, in today's Hollywood budget, that is nothing.
Yeah.
This movie looks like it was triple that.
Right.
Okay. It looks fantastic. Space battles, shooting battles,
robots,
cybernetic, explosions.
Yeah, it's great.
Towns exploding, space nukes. Like, I was like, bro, there's no way this was $80 million. Like, that guy squeezed George Washington so hard that he started crying. I'm talking about dollar bills.
Yeah, I'm aware. That was
good. You gave me a face.
Interesting. But yeah, okay. So let's go to characters. Like, I think the characters were really good.
Really good. Absolutely. Absolutely. So the main guy, you kind of cared about him. He had a very relatable story. He felt human. The kid he's carrying around, for a robot, very human. Like, emotions. You felt bad. You're like, oh, shoot, man. Like,
also, about her, her name, I'm going to butcher this, but it's Madeline Una Voiles. This is her first ever film. And she did a great job. For a kid actor, playing this particular role, it can be very easily annoying or non-believable, but she played a very believable child. She expressed so many different emotions in the film. Distress, laughter, like anger, and she showed so much. But this is her first film. I'm like, holy crap, what a great job.
Yeah, and child actors are hit or miss.
Yeah,
like for some reason, sidebar, everyone hated the Princess Leia character in Obi-Wan. I loved her, but kid actors can make or break a film.
Also, she was like 5 years old.
Right. Kid actors can make or break a film for people.
No, absolutely.
Like, no joke. People hated Phantom Menace because of Jake Lloyd as Anakin. And that's some people, that is their only reason they hate that movie.
Yeah.
There's plenty more, I promise you. But that's the hill people die on.
This movie just had so much aimed against it, But continue. So you got the characters and you got the visuals down. What about the story?
Story, very good too. So I'd also give that a 7-ish, high 7, If we were just going off of visuals alone, knowing how much this movie costs, I'd say like 10.
Sure.
You know, I would go 10 because of like what
yeah.
they accomplished with such a small budget in
Right.
today's market. Okay, but that's great, but that's not necessarily what makes or breaks a film
Sure,
for me.
yeah.
So, but characters 7, closer to 8 leaning. Same thing for story. Very good, very relatable. Like especially with AI, because there was a whole big thing about AI scares
Yeah.
and all this stuff going on. It made the robots relatable,
Right.
because you figure out what they're fighting for, what they're not fighting for. It humanizes characters that are meant to have no soul.
Right.
They're not supposed to have a heart. They're not supposed to have any personality, and they do. And you care. You actually kind of care about them. You feel sorry for some of them.
Yeah, and you get some sort of jarring films, light spoilers, but not really, is when like the main character, like very beginning of the film, he starts off with like killing robots who are like begging for their lives essentially, and he's like literally telling his partners, he's like, no, they're just machines.
Yep.
Don't care about them.
Yeah.
You know, like they're literally just computers. Like
Right, and there's a really good dilemma where the other characters like they sound human though.
Yeah, exactly. And
he's
it
like,
sends them into
and
shock.
He's like, listen, they're not. Pow.
yeah. And then like, you
Yeah.
can guess kind of
Yes.
where that goes.
Right.
But no, fantastic story, very relevant. I wish there were so many concepts in this movie that I wish could be explored more.
Yeah.
But honestly, kind of generous time too. What was it, 2 hours?
Yeah.
About 2:15
Yeah.
or something.
And
So
I
it
didn't
wasn't
feel
even
like-
super long.
I didn't feel like it was paced weird.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like there was anything out of place. I didn't feel like a scene went on too long. I didn't feel like there were parts I could cut out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna change my characters to 8.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go up a bit talking about it, because you think about, set aside the main guy and the main girl. Let's just talk about the other robots. Like, holy cow,
Those support
you
guys.
know? Okay, so I don't know if you caught this in the movie. I don't think this is a spoiler, but this episode isn't going to come out for a while.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
by
yeah.
then the movie will be out for a while. Nobody already saw it. Spoilers. Nobody saw this movie, but
Unfortunately.
yeah, but maybe it'll get a revitalization.
I think it
Blu-ray
will.
or
It
something.
should, yeah.
Okay, but so there's a scene where the dummy robots that are supposed to be suicide bombers, they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught this, but there's a scene where the main lady, the bad guy, she goes, "Okay, go." It's to, this robot's sole purpose is to run across the bridge and blow up, and he's basically a gonk droid from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very video gamey. It's just like
So
yeah,
she tells him, "Go, it's your turn," and he waits. And
Yep.
he doesn't just follow his programming and goes. He sits there and he thinks about it.
Yep.
And then the robot's like, "What do you?" Not the robot, the lady. She's like, "What are you doing? Go!" And he's like, he's sitting there thinking about it. And then before he obeys his order, he goes, "Ma'am, it was an honor serving with you." And then he starts running.
And then
finishes.
she's like, "What?"
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, no, I caught that. I was
Yes.
like, "That's really cool."
Yes, I was like, okay, even the gonk droid that is literally designed to just literally be a suicide bomber,
Yeah.
he's sitting there like, I'm about to die. And he knows he has to obey his programming, and he hesitates, but
Yeah.
he still follows his programming, but he hesitates, and he's like, all right, he makes the most of his last words. It was an honor to serve you, ma'am. And then he, boom,
Yeah.
gong, gong, gong.
No, gosh, there's
Yeah.
so many cool like designs and
Yes.
ideas in this movie, and like AI, a super relevant topic,
Very much so.
and I love how it's a twist. Like it's not AI is evil story,
Right.
It's kind of the opposite in a way. So yeah, like a lot of interesting stuff. Really recommend the movie. Please go see it.
Please.
Like I really
it's
like
too
this
late
movie,
'cause
and
it's not going to make its money back, but please
I
go
want
see it.
I want this movie to like at least get a cult following or something. I
Yeah.
think it will.
I think so too.
Because, okay, let me get into kind of like why I think this film is important and why I think a lot of people think this film is important.
Let's do it.
Because Hollywood only goes for ideas now that are guaranteed moneymakers, or at least near guaranteed
Guaranteed.
moneymakers. Yeah.
Yes.
Like in the boardroom, they are not going to sign off on an idea, greenlight an idea, give money to an idea if it's not a guaranteed moneymaker. There's obviously hits and misses, but like in their minds, they're like, okay, we're only giving this money because we know it's going to be guaranteed.
Yeah.
And the way you achieve that is if you put in a tie-in to something that's already successful, or you put in a whole bunch of tropes that people know are going to,
Or
you're
you're
going
a
to like.
spin-off of an already existing IP.
Yeah, exactly. Typically, that's what's happening in Hollywood.
Yes.
It's not a whole Hollywood's out of ideas thing, which I actually
Right.
kind of thought it was until this point. It's the fact that they're just not willing to shell out money unless it's guarantee return. And
That's
the
the
only
thing.
reason it's guarantee return is if it's a franchise or it's a multiverse or say not multiverse, cinematic universe now, or it's a remake or a reboot or a book idea. Like that's the only thing that makes money nowadays. And here comes Gareth Edwards, a director who hasn't had a huge track record, and says, I want to make a new movie.
Yeah.
The problem is it completely got shelled on
So,
by other big movies this week or the weekend it came out.
what movie in particular are you thinking about?
There were two,
Two.
but mostly one. It was Saw X
Okay.
and The Exorcist.
Oh, The Exorcist Believer.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Really
So-
hear me on this audience. Hollywood is not out of ideas.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not. Here's the problem. You will not go see anything original anymore.
Right.
You would rather go see Saw X or freaking Exorcist Believer.
Yeah.
It's like,
Which is
okay.
just like because you think about it, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, what are all my friends going to go and
Yeah.
see? Oh, I want to go see a cool, funny, scary movie.
Yeah.
Like
Let me pull up some practical examples for you.
Yeah.
The Nice Guys. Have you heard of that movie? Exactly, because it came out the same weekend as Captain America: Civil War. It's a very, very good movie. Shane Black, he makes a movie about two private investigators teaming up to take down a major corporation. It's a buddy cop movie, but they're not cops, and they
Yeah.
make a very big point to bring that up that they're not cops, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, and nobody saw
Right.
it. Actually, maybe it wasn't the same weekend. It was probably the weekend after. But
Yeah.
but everyone was seeing Civil War
yeah,
like 5 times. They saw it the first time on that weekend, and then they saw it like 3 or 4 more times the following.
gotta see it with
weekends.
all their friend groups.
Yes, yes,
individually.
yes, yes,
Yep.
yes.
Like,
okay.
crazy.
Do you remember that quote by Martin Scorsese where he was talking about how superhero movies are killing
Yeah.
movies? Okay, people gave him so much crap for that. And Martin Scorsese is someone who can go to studios and say, "Here's a movie I want to make," and pretty much without questions
The
asked,
very few, but yeah,
they would be like, "Sure," and then he'd go, and then he can make the movie
instant because just
Okay.
his name alone is like
Yes.
worth millions and millions and
Yes.
millions. Yeah,
And so many people can't do that.
Right.
They have to make sequels to superhero movies now because now it's devolved from sequels to blockbusters. Now it's
Right.
like now it has to be sequels to superhero films,
Right.
And freaking spin-offs to superheroes and more superhero team-ups and cinematic universes. That's the trope we're getting right now, and
Yeah.
that's the one that's most popular, which is kind of winding down, which is
Yeah.
nice in a way. I'm going to miss superhero films, but
Right.
they are starting to wind down a bit. And a lot of that's Marvel's fault. A lot of that is the other studios ripping them off's fault.
Yeah.
But so people gave Martin Scorsese a lot of crap because he said the truth. People can't get really good movies made anymore because
Yeah.
it has to be superheroes.
and they also have to be like 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
You can't
Yes.
even have like okay good movies anymore. It has to be, oh my gosh, it's the most amazing thing. You got to go see it 5 times in a row.
I have mixed feelings about that.
Really,
That doesn't mean you should strive to make an okay film. You should be striving to make a 10 film.
I think okay is the wrong word. More like
Yeah.
this isn't going to blow your mind. It's just entertaining.
Yeah, that's
People are
fair.
afraid of going to a movie that's just entertaining. They need to go to something that changes their life now.
Right. That's fair.
So yeah, superheroes have a
Yeah.
lot to do with that
So
as well.
the Nice Guys, that it didn't blow my mind. It
Yeah.
wasn't like the greatest film ever, but it was really good. I was like, dang, that was a good movie. I wish we could get more of those. And he wanted to make more of those movies, the Nice Guys 2 and 3
But
and
just-
whatever. Nobody saw it.
So yeah,
Except
when
me.
I saw the trailer to the creator like
Yeah.
a while back, that's what I said. I was like, you know what, this looks like it's gonna be an okay movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to go see it regardless because I want to support these original ideas.
Yes.
It actually turned out to be a really good movie, but
Yes.
still, you want to know how much money it made back?
Please do tell.
Okay, $80 million budget. It made back $35 million
35.
worldwide.
We're on the second weekend. We're at $43 million right now.
Yeah,
Right now.
first weekend was it was 35.
That's horrible.
It is atrocious.
Yes. Okay. Think about. Let me put this in perspective for you guys. Okay. Black Adam. Okay, had the big budget, 200 million, 250 million. Okay, double that for marketing. Okay,
Yep.
really think about this. That was a movie that people were like, all right, it's got The Rock in it. Let's go see
Right.
it. Right. So they go do that. That made $300 million. Now that's still a flop, but that's a movie where people are like, I guess we'll go see.
Right.
Not enough people were like, good enough. Let's.
It
go
wasn't
see
even
it.
like good.
Yeah.
Like no one even reviewed it
No,
that well.
no.
So
And it made $300 million. Can you imagine if this movie made $300 million? It would make that's basically 3 times its budget back.
right, and that would send a note to Hollywood that original ideas can work. But no, this
These are-
says the opposite to them. They are almost never going to sign off on an idea like this ever again. At least for a long,
For a
long
long
time.
time.
For a director who hasn't had that track record, like, dude, it is a horrible message,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. But yeah, you're right. Like, Saw X is probably going to make, like probably, I don't know, 300,000 or sorry, $300 million, based off I think I saw it had like a $50 million budget or a $45 million, like super cheap.
Well, here's the thing. Horror films have a built-in demographic.
Yeah.
Okay. Sci-fi kind of does, but not quite. If sci-fi has a big name attached to it, like Star Wars, Blade Runner, if those movies come in with their already established name and IP and brand, those probably have a built-in audience. But like if you're a independent sci-fi movie, it's hit or miss whether or not you're going to make any money.
I was actually going to say that sci-fi has it really bad right now.
Yeah.
Because of probably the superhero genre.
Yep.
I mean, really think about it. Like, you have to have a really big name, like a big director behind, for instance, like The Martian or Interstellar, for those movies to be successful. But there are so many sci-fi movies that have come out since then that no one has ever watched. And I love sci-fi. I really love good original sci-fi. But it's a very hard sell to a lot of people because a lot of people just kind of turn it off in their brains,
Horror films, like I said, built-in demographic.
Yeah.
Built in. You can make a crappy horror film for $10 million.
Guaranteed people will watch it.
Guaranteed, like built in at least $100 million back.
Oh yeah,
minimum. And some of those go on to make like $1 billion off of a $40 million budget.
No, like the freaking Paranormal Activity movie, the first one that came out.
Like,
no one expected that to be as explosive as it did, but it really did. Like, it was a budget of a freaking cheese sandwich, and people freaking shelled out for it.
Pulling it up right now. There is the Annabelle franchise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Franchise.
Franchise. It was.
It's a franchise built off another franchise.
Yes. Okay. So there's The Conjuring, which pretty good.
Oh yeah, I like The Conjuring.
So 1 and 2, fantastic. 3, no, but okay. But we lost the main director, I think.
Yeah.
So James Wan, he went on to do Aquaman 1 and 2.
Right.
So yeah, good for him. Okay, those movies did really good. The doll in the first movie got its own freaking movie.
Yeah.
No real other than the Conjuring name attached to it. It's supposed to be its own franchise spin-off. Terrible movie. Awful.
Yeah.
Like, I remember watching it in college, be like, this movie sucks, right? Okay, the budget, you want to hear this?
Well,
$6.5 million. Oh
my gosh.
Okay, that's cheap.
That is.
I bet you most of that went toward the doll design.
Just her winking. Like,
but think about it. A budget that low, guess how much the actors probably got paid? Pennies.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Absolute garbage.
They probably got paid pennies. Okay. Yeah. $257 million. A spin-off to a movie about a doll. But it's because it's in the horror genre and the doll's got a cool design. Boom.
I bet the actors actually got
maybe
not royalty, but their percentage was based off of performance. So that's probably how horror movies are, honestly.
All right, hold on a minute now. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
Annabelle Creation. Not 2. The
prequel.
The prequel movie. Okay, so now the spin-off doll movie gets a prequel to The Conjuring.
Yeah, you're starting to get sick, audience. I'm already sick to my stomach.
Now, this one was actually a decent movie.
Yeah.
Okay. But budget of $15 million. $306 million.
Just like that.
Just like that. No questions asked. Horror movies have a built-in demographic of they're going to go see this.
So,
all right. Well,
yeah.
Ready? Mm-hmm. Annabelle Comes Home.
Oh, boy. I forgot that was a third.
The conclusion to the hit franchise based off The Conjuring. All right. So budget $32 million. Mm-hmm. Okay,
they went up.
Yeah. Okay, they probably
that's like an okay normal budget for like a horror movie, I guess. Now
that's probably a lot more than they needed. To be honest with you.
Oh, way more. Yeah.
$231 million. Okay, so all I have to do is shell out. If I had $10 million, I know all I got to do is run to my nearest independent film studio, make a horror film, and I'm guaranteed a decent chunk of money back.
Sure. It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
It's like freaking Christian artists, like a lot of them just get into that because they know it's a built-in audience.
Right.
Yeah, and don't even get me started on the Nun franchise.
Dude, the Nun 2 just came out.
Yeah.
Those are awful. And
no one likes those, but they'll go see it.
Yeah.
Now, when a movie when a movie like this comes out, that's what breaks my freaking heart, dude. Is when these great stories get completely bulldozed by these throwaways. And you know what? It had, it's, you could blame it. Oh, why did they release the movie, right now? Because this is like money making season. Like right out, the summer blockbusters / going into Halloween, that's when you make your money Unless you're Disney, you can just throw in, whatever movie you want throughout the whole year. No, I'm talking about like Star Wars and most Marvel movies. They get money back.
Because their animated films are kind of suffering right now.
Yeah, not the Pixar and Disney stuff. That's
and their
actually
live action adaptations. Thank you, world. I have hope for you guys now. You're saying no to live action finally. Their live action adaptations of already established
of Snow
stories.
White. Dude, Lord, I hope that gets freaking
I'm so
thrown
glad.
away.
I'm glad these are getting review bombed and they're
Yes,
flopping. Thank you.
please.
Thank you.
Cancel
The world. I have hope in the world again.
So yeah,
Anyway.
that's my tangent. I'm really disappointed, but yeah, you're right. I think this movie will get a revitalization
Yes.
on Blu-ray, and I think it'll get a cult following. I don't think it will ever get a sequel
Probably not.
or something in that franchise.
I don't think the creator needs a
I don't think they
sequel.
were needing it, but like
Right.
I don't know, the world he set up.
Sure.
I think it could actually have, like, I'm talking about, what if they had like an anime spinoff or something, or like a little mini series or something. They could do something with this franchise because it actually is a really cool franchise. It didn't feel like a one and done kind of thing.
Yeah.
It felt like they could do stuff with this if they wanted to. Because they create a lot of really cool stuff. Like I loved New Asia.
Yeah.
Like the whole design of New Asia was really, really cool and interesting. It was very cyberpunky,
Yeah.
And they had like a bunch of different like devices and factories that had their own reason for being real.
Yeah.
Like it was inspiring. But yeah, really sad to see it flop like so. It wasn't just a flop; that was a failure.
And let me
failure.
say, Gareth Edwards, since he hasn't done a movie since Rogue One, which everyone, for the most part, even though I think the movie was terrible,
Yeah.
I consider it a hit. I consider it a success.
Definitely, yeah.
Because everyone else liked it, the fans liked it. It made
performed well enough to get a
it
series.
made $1 billion, right? I think, or close to.
Yeah,
Everyone liked it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hated it, but it was a hit. It was a success. So that helped Gareth Edwards' career. But I won't say his career's been suffering, but he's not a big name to where a movie like this can fail.
yeah.
And he still is just fine. And he's about to go make another film.
You don't think people will hire him again?
I didn't say that. I will think this movie will hurt his career just a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that I will consider this a career setback.
Yeah.
If I may be as bold as to claim.
you know what's crazy? No one in this movie was a super big name.
Ken
I mean,
Watanabe.
That was probably the biggest,
biggest
one.
name, yeah.
They're definitely the biggest. And then you got John David Washington. I've seen him in a couple things. No one else, though. I don't
Right.
think I recognize anyone else, which I love that too. I love picking actors who no one really knows. Like, again, it's like how movies used to be, where like you didn't really know who these actors were until they
Right.
were in these little movies or big movies,
Right.
whatever.
Well,
that
that's
people
the
took
thing.
a risk on.
So there's Micah Monroe. I don't know if you know her, but she's the main character in It Follows. And then she went on to be in what's that big disaster movie? Independence Day Resurgence.
Yeah.
So like she was making waves for a little bit, and then she kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
And I think I think the movie she was in before even It Follows was the Guest, which was fantastic. So she's been kind of like going upwards and then nothing. But
Yeah.
I agree. So that's why Star Wars was such a thing, because everyone in there became an instant like
Yeah.
celebrity.
Which is so rare.
only-
Usually only one
yeah.
person, but like everyone there.
Yeah, because Mark Hamill went on to do a bunch of voice work. Carrie Fisher did Carrie Fisher things.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Harrison Ford like became an action icon.
Good Lord, yeah.
And he's still doing his thing, right? But yeah, I would love to see. They tried to do that again with Force Awakens. Like, yeah, the original cast came back, but they were really trying to
Push the new ones.
push
yeah.
the new people, and I appreciated that, even though it didn't really go anywhere. Because you don't, other than the guy that plays Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac. Now he's actually, I think, turning into the Harrison Ford type.
He's the best out of all of
Yeah,
them, 100%.
and he's the one that they're putting in everything.
Yeah.
Like think of every major franchise now. He's in it. Like he's in the MCU now. He's in Star Wars.
Yeah.
He was in the X-Men. Like he's in everything. He's in Into the Spider-Verse. If they ever reboot Lord of the Rings, he's probably going to be in
No,
it.
100%.
He's probably going to
He'll be in the new Harry Potter
Yeah.
series. I bet you
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. So he won't be as big as Harrison Ford, but he's the one I would say who's
Way bigger than John Boyega
Yeah.
or Daisy Ridley.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and it's a thing. So now back to Gareth Edwards. It's so hard for new directors to be established.
Yeah.
So Ryan Reynolds was on the record a long time ago when Fant Four Stick flopped.
Yeah.
He talked about Michael B. Jordan and how big of a setback for his career that was. He's like, it's so hard for black actors to break through in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he was really hoping that Fant Four Stick flopping wasn't going to ruin his career.
Sure.
Because he was such a good actor, so
Yeah.
promising, blah, 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 blah. Luckily, Michael B. Jordan had the Creed franchise to fall back on. Creed came out a couple months after that, and it was fan-freaking-tastic. Right? One of my favorite, actually, films now.
Wow.
Franchise-wise.
Which is oddly enough, like a kind of reboot / sequel.
Spin-off, yeah. And now he directed the last one, the Creed 3, and it had a new story, new characters, so it didn't rely on Rocky to carry the film. And he directed it. Like, his career has been very successful. But it's so hard for new people to break through in Hollywood. It is a shame.
Yeah.
And Gareth Edwards, like, he's not an established name like Martin Scorsese. He has to earn his way through Hollywood right now. And unfortunately, I think this movie's going to set him back a bit.
I feel like, I hate to say it.
Yeah.
I think this was his chance. I don't think he'll get another one like this. Genuinely, I mean, really think about it.
Yeah.
With the, how little people know him, he got it's not big, but still $80 million isn't like, chump change.
No, it's nothing to sneeze at.
And like for it to be a big film, I think this was a shot.
Yeah.
Now, but the thing is, he didn't do a bad job. That's the sad thing. Yeah. He didn't do a bad job. He really didn't do anything wrong. It was just the timing and the fact that it was same thing with the video game industry. You're competing with other titles, big titles,
Yeah.
And sometimes you just get dealt a really bad hand.
Right.
And I don't think there was a whole lot of marketing budget. I think there was barely any marketing budget.
I didn't even watch the trailer, to be honest with you. I wouldn't have heard of the movie unless you told me.
Yeah, that's sad.
And I think a big part of it was just people hadn't heard of the film.
Yep.
Because, like I said, again, I had not heard of it until you brought it up.
Yeah.
And you begged me to go see it. And, like, I would, I'll go see anything with you if you ask me. Because, I know it's important to you, so I'll go. But other than that, though, if you hadn't told me, like, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because it was good. And I'm with you. I do want to support new ideas, new franchises, new IPs, because we're not going to get any new stuff until people start voting with their wallets. And that's what Hollywood's looking at. So I'm going to say it again. I know I said it 20 minutes ago, but the reason why Hollywood will not take chances, will not bring you anything new, the reason why everything's a spinoff, sequel, oh my gosh, they're doing it again. Why? Let me tell you why. Because you paid to see it the first time, and they know you're going to pay again to see it again.
Yeah.
Okay. They know all they got to do is have Hugh Jackman come back as Wolverine, and you'll go see Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
They know that.
Even if you hate it.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, no one really loves, very few people love the live action Disney movies.
Right.
But they know you're going to see it. Even though if you hate it, you're going into it, you're saying, I'm going to hate this.
Yeah.
You're still watching it.
Yep.
How crazy sick is that? And Hollywood caught on way before any of us did.
There's a really good meme for the Paramount Plus series based on Halo where everyone watched it to hate watch it, and it got renewed for a season 2
Yep.
because so many people watched it to hate it.
Same thing happened with Velma, I think.
So the meme was like Paramount Plus announces a season 2, and it says when you watched Halo season 1 just to crap on it, and then it gets renewed for a second season, it cuts down to Anakin. He's like, "What have I done?"
Dude, that's so true.
Yeah. Let me go backwards a bit. Let's look at something simple, something very smaller scale. Cartoons.
Yeah.
SpongeBob SquarePants. Now, I'm gonna say, let me preface this with, I love SpongeBob SquarePants. Okay.
Yes.
Very big influencer in my childhood. At least the first 3 seasons.
Same with me,
It jumped the shark eventually. Like, yes.
Get it?
Yeah. But that show was so detrimental to so many other cartoons that were trying to get established. Because think about it. How many prominent cartoons after SpongeBob were there on Nickelodeon?
On Nick?
Not that many. Not as many as you think.
There were a few of them.
If you look at the history of shows that were getting canned because they right out the gate they weren't giving them SpongeBob numbers, and then they were like, "Oh, can."
And then SpongeBob never freaking ended. So,
I know it's still going right now.
Now I will say it eventually did kill Nickelodeon shows. I would say in the start, like first 3 seasons, it wasn't that way. But then, eventually, I think I watched a documentary on this one time where like literally SpongeBob turned into their only successful show.
Yes.
Kind of like how MTV went out because their only successful show was like one rerun. Eventually, they kept on running it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Same with SpongeBob. They just like, okay, this is our only thing we have now.
And think about it. The show's still going. And a new cartoon. Oh my gosh, the Patrick Star Show. Yeah, like they will not. Nickelodeon won't take any chances. Think of all the cool cartoons that could have been the next, not the next SpongeBob, but the next like, oh yeah, dude, that show. All my dark humor comes from this show or that show. It's like no, because SpongeBob again, it just kind of killed everything on Nickelodeon because that was their most successful one, and they just keep making seasons.
I will say Butch Hartman really was. it's weird to have a competitor in the same studio, but he was the only like, competitor who could actually make stuff and last. And then when he left, well, it's like,
Right.
it's just SpongeBob now.
Yeah. So that's crazy to me because Cartoon Network didn't really have that one hit where it's like, we got to keep.
I mean,
pumping
Fairy
this
Odd
out.
Parents and
Yeah.
gosh, Danny Phantom. People love Danny Phantom, you know, like crazy. But
But it
and I
ain't on
think-
its 27th season.
No, Fairy Odd Parents got close. Or was the closest to that.
Yeah.
But then again, when Butch Hartman left, they have no idea. They have no idea what to do. With
And they
the
don't want to take
property.
any chances on people.
Yeah, they're just like,
You know how many Butch Hartmans Nickelodeon probably passed up?
sure,
Think about it. Really think about it.
yeah.
You know, because it's been what 25 years or something. Like, how many Butch Hartmans did they put in application, pitch their show, and Nickelodeon said no, or
Yeah.
gave them 1 season or 6 episodes, and then just said never mind.
On the other hand, SpongeBob transcends generations.
Yes.
Is that? Do you think that's manufactured, or do you think that's just because how good the original writing was?
Good, I would say good the original writing because well we're getting to the generation now where people don't know what SpongeBob is.
Yeah, which is weird.
That
It's
is
so weird.
I didn't think we'd ever get there because it's still going. So who's
Yeah.
watching it? I guess not the next gen of kids. That's
Yeah.
weird to me. So yeah, I know it feels like we're jumping all over the place, but I want to hammer down the point that like
The overall message.
the overall message is the reason why we're not seeing anything original is because nobody pays for it, nobody watches it, nobody goes to see it, and that's what they're really looking for. It doesn't matter how good the movie was.
Yeah.
Think about studios don't care how good a movie is; they care about what's going to sell.
Yeah.
If they cared about how good a movie was, you wouldn't be seeing The Nun 2. You wouldn't be seeing these Paranormal Activities and Paranormal Activity knockoffs. You wouldn't be seeing these terrible films. We wouldn't have gotten Annabelle had they just not had a franchise they knew was just going to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy to me. Sidebar: The Conjuring. It's hilarious to me that characters that were little sideshows, like The Conjuring 1, had the main ghost, and then this little just side story, the doll. And they took that doll and turned it into a franchise. And then Conjuring 2, there was like this main thing, and then there was a side nun.
Side note.
Side nun. She just showed she was in it, and then the nun.
I think they wanted to make
Yeah.
a spinoff basically over every single like side ghost they showed.
Pretty much, yeah. Because there's that one scene where the creepy, not the Hank, what's that guy's name?
The Crooked Man?
The
or-
Crooked Man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They wanted to make a movie on it.
There is one scene where this Crooked Man comes up and he says this little rhyme. He's got one line in the whole movie, and they were talking about making a franchise off of him.
Yeah.
And that's insane to me.
Like, yeah.
That blows my mind.
How do you make go back to Saw? How do you make a movie called Jigsaw and be a spinoff of it? What else is it about?
Yeah. Yeah, because Saw, the main character, he's been dead for like 5 movies. But the every Saw movie now is done in flashbacks where they
Yeah.
flash back to
Wow,
something
that's-
Saw did.
that's creative.
But he's been dead for a long time, and they still find new flashbacks like, oh, he also did this in between
No, but
films.
there was a movie literally called Jigsaw, which was
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
the exact same thing. What? But it's about Jigsaw. It's always been about Jigsaw.
Yeah. So why is it anyway? I watched Jigsaw, and like I get the appeal. People trapped in a room. As long as you make a new trap, and we saw the same thing with this on Terminator, where it's like, well, if we just come up with a new Terminator, that counts as a new IP. That counts as a new Terminator film.
Right.
Same thing with Saw. They just like, okay, we'll come up with 5 or 6 different traps, and that'll be
And
the
people
new
just
movie.
like love freaking
Yeah.
gore horror. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, my
Right. They're not even that gory, if I'm being honest with
Really?
you. No, because they'll cut away when the person's about to actually hit the trap.
I bet
And-
that was a
and then-
PG-13 one. I
and
think
then-
there was a
yeah.
PG-13 one.
Gotcha. And then you'll just see a blood splatter. Like there's a scene where a guy's getting dragged in, like he's chained around the face, right, around his head, and then he's getting pulled into a saw. But then the part where you're supposed to see the actual saw cut him, they cut away to someone looking at him, and then you see a blood splatter on him. And those are the Saw movies. And I was like, bro, some people love these. I was like, I don't get it.
Oh, dude.
So
Well, you know what? Speaking of all these like overused concepts,
Yeah.
Are you familiar with like tropes? I'm sure you are.
kind of, but like I've always found them a bit confusing, which is weird because I'm a movie almost movie buff, not
Sure.
quite, but close enough. So
Yeah.
explain the tropes to me.
Well, essentially, a trope is a wonderful website called TV Tropes, which is amazing for this as a tool. Essentially, a trope is something that's overdone, overused, something that not even overused, but something that's been in multiple different films or TV shows or games or something. It's a non-original idea, but nowadays, no original idea basically exists.
Yeah.
So you just have a mountain of tropes. Now, it used to be a trope was annoying, but nowadays people kind of have their favorite tropes or have their least favorite tropes. So, to give you an example, one of my favorite tropes. I love the it's kind of in the Creator actually. I love the whole strong dad character takes a protect or mom character protects a child throughout the whole movie.
So examples of that being Logan, examples being The Last
Aliens.
of Us, Aliens. Yeah.
So it's been done a lot. Mandalorian, if you want to go TV show. So
Sure.
a lot of people. Also, I hated that because like people didn't see Creator because all I would hear was like, oh, just like Mandalorian. I'm like, no, that's a trope that's been done so many more times than just
Forever.
Mandalorian.
Forever.
But you're just relating that to profit, or it's like
nearest one you
popularity.
saw.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that's a
Kids,
trope that's
man.
been out for a long time. A couple more favorite tropes of mine. I love when a character broods. Brooding character, like, just like, even they're stupid, but it's like a character who's like ultra serious, or there's a very dramatic moment, like his best friend died or he got betrayed and he takes a moment, everyone knows it. It's raining outside. He's wearing long, dark clothing. He's just like sitting in the rain, like, what have I done? Or what's this world coming to? Or my favorite, this city. It's been a million times, but I love it every single time. Not because I think it's good, but the thing is, it's enjoyable to me.
Do you remember The Office whenever Michael Scott
Yeah,
goes
he
to
looks at this. He looks at his window
the city?
for no reason. Everyone's like,
Dwight, we're not mad. He's like, yes, no, we're mad.
no. The Office is a perfect example because like that character, what's his name, Michael Scott.
Yeah.
He does tropes like because he's a fan of action movies, so he does like random tropes like that all the
just
time for no reason.
Yeah, no reason, but it fits for him.
Yeah. Another really good trope of mine. It's not really like a movie trope, but it's like a movie trailer trope. Have you seen, or stop me if this sounds familiar, action movie plays trailer, right? It opens up and it's a character walking in a field or something, and then you hear a very slowed down epic version of a very stupid song playing in the background. Like Survivor, like I'm a survivor, da 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 da. But the Tomb Raider movie, it's I'm a survivor. Da, 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 da. Every single freaking movie does it now.
Yeah.
In their trailers.
I think I remember a Justice League trailer, not the Snyder Cut, but the original
Yeah.
crappy one where everything was orange.
Yeah.
Right? But I remember they took that Beatles song, which one was it? Come Together.
Oh yeah.
Come together.
Yeah.
Go right now.
Creator did Dream On, which I
Yeah.
love. I love Dream On. I loved it how they use it in the trailer. And even though it's stupid, it's very overused. It gets me excited. I'm just like, this sounds cool. Even though it's so unoriginal, but it's like really cool.
But
a lot of people
they
hate
have
that.
to.
A lot of people hate that trope, but I actually really enjoy it just because it's cool. Like
Yeah.
I just like it because it's cool.
If they had more than one trailer, just think about it. Maybe the creator would have made more money.
That hurts.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, watch the trailer for Creator. It's actually really good. But yeah,
I'm good. I saw the movie.
do you have a favorite trope or a least favorite trope that you really don't like?
Well, thank you for asking. My favorite tropes are Dark World. So one of them, Dark World, a mirror universe with a dark twist. Everyone gives Superman 3 flack, and it is a terrible film. I hate it, right? But it has the mirror universe, what I'll call it. Instead of a mirror universe, I'm going to narrow it down. It has evil Superman in it. My favorite scene is when Superman is fighting like his evil twin.
Yeah.
Like, I love that because it's like the good boy Superman that everyone loves, that's joyful and happy, and then he's fighting himself. I love it when, say, like the Avengers or somebody, they're fighting like their evil twin.
Yeah.
I freaking love that. Ash versus Evil Dead, spoilers. There's a scene where his arm from the first movie sprouts a whole new him. So the quippy Bruce Campbell that's like with the chainsaw arm, they're both fighting each other, and it's just really stupid. I love it when evil twins fight each other. Believe it or not, Inspector Gadget, I loved it when he fought his evil version
Evil
of
Gadget
himself.
where he has like the spider thing. Yeah.
Right, I love that. And then like the evil version of him has like buck teeth, and he's like,
He's like, we could rule the world.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome.
So let me think. Let me find out another one.
You know what? You know what one I don't like
What?
is when like heroes are like cornered and they're about to be offed, and then like this lady runs in with a giant gun, just like, and they're like, a woman.
I don't. Well, give me an example. I've never. I can't think of anything.
Honestly, it happens a lot with like throwaway movies, to be honest. But like they make a huge point about it being a woman for some reason.
Yeah.
And like most viewers are just like, oh, cool. But like Terminator, that one Terminator movie, which one was it where like Sarah
Come with me if you
Connor,
want to live. That's Terminator Genesis.
Sarah Connor comes in and is like, come with me if you want to live. Basically, it's just like, what's the point?
Yeah. There's the one where really think about this. Romances in sci-fi movies or women aliens, they're always having to be humanoid, basically.
I don't think there's one unattractive female alien in movies.
In a movie. Like, think about how they always have to have human features. They still got to have female anatomy, you know, in movies. Like, a good example of that's like Mass Effect. Like, you got Turians, you got Asari, you got like all these cool, interesting characters, but they all have to be humanoid. You know what I'm saying? That's a trope. Like, even though they're aliens, there's nothing that sets them apart from alien other than like a weird head or weird skin. But they're still very humanoid form. You know what I mean?
I kind of find it funny when they force romances in movies with like.
Well, great. That's the other one I was going to bring up. The other trope. So yeah,
like I'm talking about these people have no chemistry and they've known each other for little like 2 hours. It's even worse than like Disney movies sometimes when people give them flack. But like there are some action movies out there where like literally they walk into the same room and like I don't know, there's like a montage of them talking for like a little bit and already they're like in love or something. You know, like it happens a lot. I feel. But they're like so forgettable too, so I can't even like name you any, unfortunately.
Well, you know, so the last one for me, just off the top of my head, basically is like token romances, right?
Oh, yeah.
So movies that have to shove in a romance, you know, that drives me crazy. A series that I very much enjoy doesn't have a romance is John Wick, because like if you really think about
there was a romance, dude.
What?
There was a romance.
The dog?
That's the whole reason the movie started.
The dog?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, good one.
Woof woof.
Right. No, so out of 4 John Wick movies, you would think there's going to be one movie where one of the girls he's fighting or one of the would turn into a romance.
Absolutely.
But no, it was like the whole franchise was he misses his wife and somebody took something from him that made him lose his wife again. And that's what the whole movie was about. You know what I'm saying? They didn't do a forced romance in any of the John Wick movies, and I love them for it.
Do you think it's something beyond just sex appeal?
What do you mean?
Like just throw in random like love triangles or love connections for whatever reason, like in movies that absolutely do not need them. Do you think it's because the stories sell? Like it's the kind of thing where like if you can bring your girlfriend to the movie because there's romance in it, quote unquote, but it's for like 5 seconds, or do you think it's just like because sex sells?
That's a good question. Another good example of a forced romance would be like Doctor Strange 1.
Oh yeah,
because that movie on its own could have just been its own thing. If you cut out the romance subplot, there wouldn't have even been a need for him to go back to America.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. The whole movie could have taken place overseas, but no, the romance scene. So he has to go back. She has to work on him while he's dead, and like they have to have like I'm so sorry, you know. Oh, it's okay, you know, and they have to talk and flirt. You cut that out, it would have been a way better movie. That you know. So
I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but. Freaking Mary Jane and Spider-Man and Sam Raimi. I don't think they ever had any chemistry or connection.
I disagree.
You disagree? You think they had any connection?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Besides the whole upside down...
We don't have time to go into that.
Besides the whole... Yes, we do. Besides the whole upside down kiss thing. What? What do they have?
They had hopes and dreams that they shared together. Girl Next Door. You can't tell me that you've never had when you were a kid like a crush on the girl next door or the girl next to you and you're at the desk at school or a girl that you work with, the girl that's just right there but you can't attain her. You know what I mean? But she's there. You know what I mean? She's right there but she's so far away.
No, that's just an interest. That's not chemistry though.
No, they had.
I don't think she would be into him.
Maybe, but I disagree because they had so many.
And then she tried marrying the astronaut.
I know.
So yeah.
I won't say they had no chemistry. They had so many good times.
And then she was like into dude. She was also into like 2 other guys, like also Harry.
I'm not saying she was the best written, but like they established like that was the girl next door that he couldn't get to, and he was a nerd, and then he's cool, and then she's suddenly interested in him, and they had some good talks.
Yeah, he's a post-pubescent teen. Yeah, of course he's interested in her, but like she has no reason to be interested in him.
Then you know I can see why you would feel that way.
Yeah,
I'm not going to argue with you on that. But like they had talks where she's sharing her scares and her hopes for the future, and he's sharing his, you know. And then like I don't know, like she'd want to date a superhero, you know.
Exactly. Okay, what movie did that well? Where it was like I think it was Spider-Man or Batman. No, it was Batman '89. Where like basically
remember I didn't watch it.
That's fine, but basically there's a love interest and who's in love with Batman. Sorry, Bruce Wayne, but doesn't know it's Batman, you know? And then, not Batman 89, Batman Forever. Remember how it wasn't Vicky Vale. It was someone, though. Oh, what was her name? It was like that one not Vicky Vale person. And she was like in love with Batman and Bruce Wayne at the same time without realizing it. But it's like, is she in love with Batman or Bruce Wayne?
That's cool.
Interesting concept.
Yeah.
It was a stupid movie, unfortunately, so it didn't like pull it off anything interesting. But I'm like, that's an interesting concept, you know. With Spider-Man,
Well, think about.
I don't know.
Apparently, with Superman, Lois Lane was struggling because she loved Clark Kent and Superman, and so it was a weird like. Now
she got lucky.
I got a lot of flack for this in college because I was like, I don't see the problem here. If she loves both and they're the same person, cool. But my buddy was like, no, you know, because he likes to be smarter than everybody else. So he's like, oh no, this is why it was so hard for her. And I was like, oh BS, dude. There's no way. So all right, I want to do a whole discussion on movie tropes at some point, but I think we're out of time now. We're at the hour mark. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Thank you for tuning in. Say bye, Shaps.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.